Welcome everyone to tonight's council meeting for the 27th of October 25. Before we start, we have a public forum. So I would start by, in the spirit of open and accessible and transparent government, public forums are video recorded and webcast. By speaking at a public forum, members of the public agree to being recorded and webcast. Albury City accepts no liability for any defamatory, discriminatory or offensive remarks or gestures that are made during the course of the council or committee meeting. Opinions expressed or statements made by individuals, the opinions or statements of those individuals do not imply any form of endorsement by Albury City. Recordings are protected by copyright known by Albury City. No part may be copied, recorded, reproduced or transmitted without the prior written consent of the Chief Executive Officer. Any recording is not and shall not be taken to be an official record of Albury City or discussion depicted therein. Thank you. Cool. Conflict of interest declarations received by the Chair, Mr. Zagnich.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. One conflict of interest declaration received from Councillor Hudson, a non-pecuniary less than significant. The matter relates to one of the speakers in the public forum. Richard Henry is a friend and associate of Councillor Hudson's. The action Councillor Hudson will take us to stay in the chamber and participate in the public forum. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to the first speaker, and 3.1, Richard Henry, CM 13.7, Albury Awards, speaking for the recommendation. Richard, do you want to come to the dais? Thanks. No, you're right. You know the dog as well. So do I. We know each other very affectionately. Yeah.
It's okay. Dog's not presenting.
Yeah, the dog's not presenting, Jeff. Thanks, Richard. It says it's on here. Right here.
Very happy to see you as well. Last time I saw you, maybe.
I know. Well, it says it's on here, but it's.
Just check that mic, please, Richard. Make sure it's on.
No.
Give us a chat.
No. Try that one.
How about that?
There you go.
Perfect. I haven't prepared any notes tonight, but I'm speaking for civic inclusion and why January 26th is perhaps, as a possible perspective, not appropriate to be holding civic awards. Civic awards are absolutely about holistic inclusion. And I am case in point of that. I speak tonight as the current Albury Citizen of the Year, a position that I am very, very thoroughly honoured to hold, but it's come out of a lot of pain and trauma over 20 years. Awards need to be inclusive of people that have experienced sometimes disenfranchisement, pain and suffering. And in 2026, we need to recognise that awards should be holistic and encompass all civic natures and should be actively wanting more people to participate in these events. I would be concerned that there would be some Indigenous people, not all Indigenous people, but some that would probably not want to accept awards on the 26th of January or would not want to be nominated for awards on the 26th of January. I absolutely accept that council has a fiscal responsibility, and I perhaps as a possible perspective come to this table with acknowledgement of that. But I love quoting people, and that person I'm going to quote is Mark Twain. Mark Twain said, the definition of a cynic is someone who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. And so we need to look at the inherent value of these citizenship awards. I will give a bit of a historical overview because I don't want people in this room to think that January 26th is somehow sacrosanct within the narrative of Australia. In 1788, on the 26th of January, Arthur Phillip, with a bunch of Royal Marines and naval officers, put a flag at Sydney Cove and they raise a toast to the King. It's probably gin or brandy, but that was the limits of its significance. The significance, however, was the establishment of the colony of New South Wales, which from a public law perspective enshrined Indigenous disenfranchisement for over 200 years until about 1992 with the famous Mabo decision. Until then, Aboriginal people were considered invisible from a legal perspective and from a civic participation system in their own lands. We ignore that at our own peril. It wasn't until 1818, I believe, that Lachlan Macquarie, celebrating the 30th year of the founding of the New South Wales colony, held a big party. And it wasn't until 1915, on the 30th of July, that the first sort of modern concept of an Australia Day was enacted. And that was to raise funds for the war effort in World War I. So we go to 1994 with the Keating government, the Labor Keating government, that created this holiday called Australia Day, a public holiday. It is younger than me. I'm 41. The concept is 31 years old. So I want it to be removed from our mindset that this is somehow a sacrosanct, something that we've always done. We haven't always done it. And I think as a mature society, as an inclusive society, we need to be encouraging people to want to accept these awards. We want to be encouraging civic participation. We want people to feel comfortable to come and receive these awards and nominate for these awards. Because there was a time in my life where I wouldn't have been comfortable coming from an invisible population, the mental health population, the LGBTI community. I know what it's like to experience that sort of disenfranchisement and invisibility. And so I encourage council to perhaps reflect on any possible decisions it may or may not be making in this space, and to absolutely recognise that Australia Day for many people within our community is a moment in public law that absolutely disenfranchised and made people legally and publicly invisible. And we do not want to regress back to that space. And that's all I have to say on that topic at the moment. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for listening. And I appreciate being here this evening. Thank you.
Well done, Richard. Right on the minute too. Question from Councillor Callaghan for you, Richard. You need to stay there, mate. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Richard, for taking the time this evening to address the councillor group. My question is in relation to your experience last year at the event. I'm not sure if you've experienced attending Australia Day done at Noriel and the separate awards, but I suppose from your perspective, what was your experience last year in the Albury Entertainment Centre?
When I got over the shock of actually being named Citizen of the Year, it was incredible. It was very peaceful. It was very inclusive. It had almost a bit of an ambience around it. And I think recognised the invisibility that a lot of people in our community have felt. So I came from a mental health background, and you come from a lens of invisibility. And I think it was a nice environment to be in. Perhaps on a more rowdy day, my anxiety would probably kick in and probably wouldn't have liked it so much, probably wouldn't have even turned up. So that's how far I've come, bearing in mind I was non-verbal 3 years ago. So yeah, that's the lens that I come from. So I do understand trauma and where we come from with those things. Yeah, but I felt that the evening was incredibly well run. It was respectful and very inclusive, and I was very happy to be a part of it. Thanks, Councillor Callaghan. No.
And that's about it, Richard. Thanks for your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. Okay, 3.2, Isaac Kundi, 13.7 Albury Awards, speaking for recommendation.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Deputy Mayor, and good evening, councillors. I would like to start off by relaying a statement I made last year when this topic was first discussed. Our city here in Albury is beautiful and diverse. Our city helps us live in a great place, and I'm so happy to have spent so much of my life here to date. My family is very diverse. One of my great-great-grandmothers was a Wiradjuri woman and grew up in the Cootamundra Girls' Home and had to be adopted by her sister to get out. One of my grandfathers is a Palestinian refugee and was granted his Australian citizenship on the 26th of January when he arrived to Australia. It would be quite easy for me to focus on my grandfather's history and celebrate the 26th of January. But I know for some of my other family members, this day causes a lot of distress and pain. As such, I ask that you keep our community celebration and awards day away from the 26th of January. Most of you here have no reason to celebrate on the 26th of January, specifically, unlike some of my family. And likewise, most of you here today have no reason to mourn on the 26th of January, unlike some of my family. What you do have, however, is an opportunity and a responsibility to show that our community values its First Nations members. We don't need to guess. We know that last year, a former winner returned his award at the risk of them being associated with the 26th of January. We know that the elders who did the acknowledgement to country left the ceremony prior to the awards being presented for the same reason. Unless the benefit that would come from aligning the awards with the 26th of January is greater than the known harm, the alienation, and the exclusion of some of the members of our First Nations community, then you must fulfill your responsibility and maintain the separation of the Albury Awards from the 26th of January. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. Councillor Hudson, question.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. Through you. Thanks so much for speaking tonight, Isaac. Your words are just as powerful tonight as they were last year. Just for those in the chamber who might not know the context here, what's your association with the Albury Awards?
My association with the Albury Awards. Well, personally, on the evening when I got presented with Young Citizen of the Year, once I got over the shock of getting Young Citizen of the Year, I was very happy, and it was a wonderful atmosphere to be at, and it's a night I'll never forget. However, the association of the Albury Awards and the date it's on has nothing to do with the members of our community, as that is not the decision they made. However, it is associated with the members here who do decide what day we celebrate the Albury Awards on. And personally, for me, it's about my community acknowledging me and not about the council acknowledging me.
Thank you. Question, Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor Mac, and thank you, Isaac. Firstly, I want to say what an amazing young man you are, and you briefly said hello, and I feel so proud that I gave you the award last year, given that you've had such courage to come up here today and this evening and talk about your experiences. You come from a perspective of young people, much younger than us, and have you discussed this with your peers or understand what some of your friends might think about changing our awards evening back to the 26th of January?
Thank you for asking, first of all. I've had a fair few conversations with my friends from school and from co-curricular activities and groups I'm a part of. And the main opinion of these peers is that it is quite inconsiderate, so to say, that we celebrate the awards on 26th of January. And the key thing that a lot of them have mentioned is that if we put ourselves into the shoes of the First Nation members of our community, we probably wouldn't want the community awards to be celebrated on a day of mourning, distress, and pain for us. And so I think it's very important that we make the right decision in not moving the awards back to the 26th of January and keeping it the way it is.
Thank you, Isaac.
Thank you.
Question, Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. Isaac, I have a question for you, which is not the political question, but it's more relating to the award you got last year, or you received last year. And learning, for me, I appreciated the suspense, finding out who the nominees were, hearing a little bit about each of them before the award was then presented, and the theatre of it. Did that build up and create excitement, or were you nervous? What was the go there?
I was certainly quite nervous, but there was also an element of excitement. And I think for a long time, I was still processing the fact that there were members in my community who nominated me and genuinely believed that I was worthy of a Albury City Council award. And I think that means quite a lot still.
Yeah, well, one more follow-up, and it is a question, but it's possibly a statement. At Noriel, the same treatment for the winners doesn't occur. You get the Albury Citizen of the Year, but you don't always hear about the nominees and what they've done. So, in one way, that longer evening with a thorough look at every candidate, plus the opportunity for their family and friends to attend, may be a benefit.
Certainly agree with what you're saying, and I think the way the awards evening is ran, it's ran smoothly, it's ran perfectly. I think the one key thing that can't be changed is moving it back to the 26th of January. And I think we do everything so perfectly. It's just so painful to see that we can't get this one thing right when we've gotten every single thing right. Thank you.
Thanks, Isaac. No further questions. Thanks for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks to the speakers. Now we'll start with our council meeting for Monday, the 27th of October, 2025. We all stand for the opening affirmation and acknowledgement of country. Thanks. Councillor King.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. We gather to represent the people of Albury who have entrusted us with this task. May our efforts be blessed with insight, wisdom and common sense. May our personal values give us honesty and courage to serve our community effectively and with respect for all.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson, acknowledgement of country. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. We would like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people as the traditional custodians of the land that we meet upon today and pay our respects to the elders, past, present and future, for they hold the memories, culture, tradition and hopes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that contribute to our community.
Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, recording and webcasting of meeting. This council meeting is being webcast and recorded. By speaking at the council meeting, you agree to being recorded and webcast. Please ensure that if and when you are speaking at this council meeting, that you are respectful to other people and use appropriate language. Albury City accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of the council meeting. Audio recording will be made for administrative purposes. Conflict of interest declaration received by the chair and disclosure of political donations. Mr. Zachnich.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. One conflict of interest declaration from Councillor Bukowski, a non-pecuniary, less than significant. A brief description of the conflict of interest is Councillor Bukowski is a member of the Lavington Tennis Club, where the president of the said club has made a submission in relation to the draft property strategy, which relates to item 13.3, draft property strategy. Councillor Bukowski's action will be to remain in the chamber and participate in the debate, and will vote. In terms of disclosure of political donations, the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act requires a person submitting a planning application and submissions regarding a planning application to disclose any reportable political donation and or gifts to any local councillor or employee of the council. Reportable political donations include those of or above $1,000. There are no development applications for consideration at this meeting, and accordingly, no further advice is required. Thank you, Mayor Mac.
Thank you, Mr. Zachnich. We have apologies. Thanks, councillors. Councillor King.
I move that council receive, note and accept the apology of Councillor Cameron and grant leave of absence for the meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Prokowski.
Happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Happy to put that motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you. Attendance by council meeting by audio visual link. Thank you, councillors. Councillor King.
I'd like to move that council receive, note and accept the attendance of Councillor Glacken via audio-visual link for the meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Bullivant.
Happy to second that, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. I put that motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you. There is no mayoral minutes. CM6 action plans. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you. I'd like to move the recommendation that the following action plans be received and noted. 1, actions complete for noting only. 2, actions awaiting response from external parties. 3, actions in progress. And 4, long-term issues more than 3 months.
Thank you. Councillor Prokowski.
Happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan, did you wish to speak to that at all?
No, thank you.
Happy to put that motion. There are no questions or debate. Happy the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting held on Monday, the 13th of October, 2025. Councillor King.
I'd like to move that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 13th of October 2025 at 6 p.m. be confirmed.
Councillor Bullivant.
Happy to second that, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Councillor King, did you wish to speak to that at all?
No, thank you.
Appears to be no speakers for or against. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. No reports from community forums, no notice of motions or rescissions. CM10, no presentations and deputations. CM11, reports of committees and working parties. Thank you, councillors. Minutes of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee draft financial statements meeting held on Wednesday, the 3rd of September, 2025. Councillor Prokowski.
Thank you. I move the recommendation that council receives, notes and accepts the minutes of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee draft financial statements meeting held on Wednesday, 3 September 2025.
Thank you. Councillor King.
Happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Prokowski, have a question. Do you happy to take the question before you open debate? Yep.
Yes.
Councillor Callaghan, question?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Mac, through you to the most relevant staff member. In the minutes, there was concerns regarding Albury City's commitment to financial prudence and sustainability, spending cuts and saving targets, so much so that Section C was added to the motion, which states, remains concerned about the state of the general fund operating deficit and request a briefing from the CEO to financial sustainability measures on the 22nd of October. And I understand that this meeting's happened, Frank, and I was hoping councillors can be provided with a quick update on your feedback. Thank you.
Councillor Callaghan, Mr. Zachnich.
Thanks for the question, Councillor Callaghan, through you, Mayor Mac. So as an Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee, the charter for the group, particularly during the review of annual financial statements, is to receive detailed updates from the responsible accounting officer and the CEO. I wasn't able to attend that subsequent meeting, so I did so on the meeting in the minutes, but did so on the 22nd, and provided the ARIC chair and members with an update on our financial sustainability improvement plan and the target of achieving a balanced general fund budget by 2028. Included in that update was the work we've been doing around our accelerated service planning, and council will receive a report on that external review and suggestions for savings on the meeting of the 10th of November. And also underway at present is the external budget process review, which will review council's budgeting process, alignment with strategic goals, community consultation, assumptions and projections around budget and forecast income and expenditure for the 24-25 year. So that's the process we've just been through. And then once the budget was adopted, what monitoring and updates does council have in place in accordance with legislation? So I was able to outline all of those matters for the ARIC, in addition to the risks around not achieving the reduced deficit, obviously around increased expenditure or income not meeting some of the projections are still key risks for us over the 25-26 year, and we monitor that closely at quarterly budget review. And ARIC essentially were, accepted the overview and the presentation. And obviously, we've got significant work to continue to manage our budget, have discipline in place around budget expenditure, and particularly if expenditure does increase in certain areas, it needs to be offset by reductions in other operations to ensure we reach that reduced deficit figure or better of $10.4 million by June 2026.
Appreciate it.
Comfortable?
Yep. Thank you.
Councillor Bukowski, do you wish to open debate on your motion? Okay, happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you. No documents for sealing. Officer reports for consideration. SAM 13.1, contract 24-02919, construction of taxiway Alpha. Thank you. Councillor Bullivant.
I move the recommendation that council pursuant to section 178(1) alpha of the Local Government General Regulation 2021 New South Wales resolves to accept the tender from XL Gray Bruni Proprietary Limited and award them the contract 2024/02919 construction of taxiway Alpha for the tendered lump sum price of $2,882,157.62, including GST.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski.
Happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Bullivant, do you wish to speak to that at all?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Councillor King, speaking for.
Thank you. Just to acknowledge that this tender has come in under budget, which is wonderful. And of course, this is part of a suite of funded projects for our Albury Airport. So this is specifically talking about the extension of taxiway Alpha, but we've also got the design and construction of a new emergency service aerial support apron and the broader Western Precinct Master Plan. And thanking the federal government for their $5 million that they've contributed to this, and just again highlighting that councils often own and operate airports, of which obviously Albury City plays a key regional role in this, and it is an ongoing advocacy position of Albury City and many of our other regional cities to continue to advocate for funding for improvements and upgrades such as the nature that we're seeing here today. But given this is in particular in relation to the awarding of a contract, I'll leave it there, but just to acknowledge that it's certainly one of many projects that a regional city like Albury has to be mindful of maintaining, and that funding is appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor King. Councillor Callaghan speaking for, no speakers against.
Thank you. Yes, I'll be speaking for the construction of taxiway Alpha. Extending taxiway Alpha reduces delays, it aids arrivals and our departures, but overall it improves safety for passengers and crews. So essentially what we're getting here is faster, safer airport operations, which is fantastic. I'd also like to say the project will be delivered locally, critically a project within budget that will really drive regional employment spending and during that construction phase as well. So happy to support the delivery of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. No further speakers for or against or questions. Councillor Bullivant, do you wish to close debate on the item?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Mac. Just echoing the sentiments of my fellow councillors that once again our procurement team has gone out and put the jobs out to tender and done their due diligence as usual, and looks like this one's going to come in under budget. So that'll be a great thing for the savings within the council going forward. But well done, team.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. 13.2, draft funding and delivery of water and wastewater infrastructure for out-of-sequence developments policy. Thank you, councillors. Councillor King.
Just await the
That's been
updated.
too long for a few of them.
For those who may be watching online, or happy for me to pause, or would you like me to?
No, we'll wait. We'll stand by. Brief technical issue. Can you read?
Okay. I'd like to move that council endorses the draft funding and delivery of water and wastewater infrastructure for out of sequence development policy to be placed on public exhibition for 28 days. B, determines that competitive tendering under section 55(1) of the Local Government Act 1993 is not feasible before the council enters into a legal agreement under this policy, because the only possible primary party to the agreement other than council is the entity having the benefit of the development consent requiring the payment of a monetary contribution pursuant to section 64 of the Local Government Act 1993, which will be wholly or partly offset by the Water Management Works Agreement. And for this reason, the council has resolved pursuant to section 55(3) that tenders will not be invited before the council enters into such agreement. And if no objections are received, the funding and delivery of water and wastewater infrastructure for out of sequence development policy be adopted and placed on the Public Policy and Procedure Register.
Thank you. Councillor Baker.
Happy to second, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Councillor King, happy for me to take two questions, please, open? Okay. Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. Through you to the most relevant member of staff. Given the nature of this policy and the fact that it removes the requirement for the competitive tendering under section 55, what specific safeguards are there to ensure that there's transparency and that there isn't cost, inflation by the developers who are delivering the infrastructure?
Mr. Willis.
Mr. Willis.
Thank you very much for your question. Through you, Mayor Mac. Essentially, the policy basically builds upon our existing procurement and guidelines. It also has inbuilt checks and balances, which will also require independence and validation of what is presented to us, noting that each development has to be assessed in the context of the development. So things such as we need to understand and agree that what's presented to us has been independently validated in terms of cost estimation. That might be through qualified quantity surveyors. It might also be through assessment of similar jobs that we've done and what sort of our expenditures have been. And it might also be through the provision by the developers of number of quotes to basically validate what their cost estimation to us is. That will all be then built into the agreement, again, dependent on the context of the agreement, so that, we do have the checks and balances in place to be satisfied that what is presented to us represents value for money to the council.
Follow-up?
Yeah, thank you for that. Just one follow-up question. Are the agreements made public in the same way that, a regular tender process would be for other council projects?
Mr. Willis.
Typically, the agreements are confidential because they relate to commercial matters concerning the infrastructure for a development. Again, depending on the context, that would be council's decision, essentially, whether they're made public or not, but usually not.
Yep.
Thank you. Just to add to Mr. Willis's response, so each time one of these proposed agreements comes up, we'll need to report to council so that you're able to resolve under the policy to take that approach. So they'd be dealt with on an individual basis.
Thank you.
Thank you. Question from Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor Mac, to the most relevant staff member. It's stated in the papers that council is required to deliver new water and wastewater infrastructure at an estimated cost of $400 million by 2030 to accommodate future growth. I feel like as a councillor group, we've heard a different number and a different time frame. So I'm hoping you can just clarify what is the expected total cost of this project in delivering our infrastructure and the expected delivery time frames beyond 2030.
Mr. Willis.
Once again, thank you very much for your question. Through you, Mayor Mac. Essentially, the water and wastewater master plans endorsed by council endorse a capital expenditure of around $625 million in total up until the year 2065. 60% of that is before 2030 for both water and wastewater, and that is the $400 million number.
Lovely.
within
Thank
the
you for the
report.
clarification.
Mr. Zachary?
Sorry, just to add, in terms of the question, not all of that projected delivery will be enabled under this proposed policy. There'll be a mix of, early developer work as well as our normal tender process. So this is to account for those circumstances where this sort of approach is most advantageous to council.
Thank you. Question, Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. Question through to the most relevant member of staff. How often do you expect this sort of scenario to come up? I know it can be beneficial when it does. Is it something that we're expecting to be flooded with, or is it only when a developer really wants to get moving earlier than would otherwise be possible?
Mr. Willis.
Thank you very much for your question. Essentially, this policy, which can be implemented at the pure discretion of council, is usually rates to developments which are ahead of when we're forecasting to put the infrastructure in place. So therefore, it's a means of expediting and enabling an innovative funding and delivery of that infrastructure to basically meet the needs of that developer and the wider community. So essentially, within the master plans that have been endorsed, there are a number of key projects in there which we already know are out of sequence, and a developer would like to move forward with those, with their developments, which doesn't yet have the infrastructure. So those particular projects would be subject potentially to this sort of agreement.
Comfortable?
Yep.
Okay. Councillor King, did you wish to open debate on the item?
Thank you. Just to note that it will go on exhibition for 28 days, so plenty of time for feedback, and also acknowledging that a future developers forum is intending to be planned to seek additional feedback in relation to this policy. And again, with the availability of housing, and we know that the pressure is on to get that stock built, but it's that question of the enabling infrastructure and the challenges for a council like Albury to be able to keep up and fund that. So I applaud the approach of looking at a different way of trying to enable development. So it makes sense, and great questions to ensure that it's sort of got that robustness to it to look at it and how it might be implemented for Albury City's best interests, while also acknowledging, the developers that are eager to get moving. So it seems like it's a good policy to have in place, and I look forward to hearing feedback and to hear what the broader developers may think of that at an upcoming forum.
Thank you. Speaker for, Councillor Callaghan, no speakers against.
Thank you. Yes, I speak for the innovative approach, really, about thinking about that out-of-sequence development and delivering assets faster where possible. It certainly allows homes to be built sooner and really helping that critical housing supply that we know is in demand. I think it's also looking at service land coming online sooner, which delays the increased costs for new homes and businesses. We know when people are buying their parcel of land but have to wait and wait and wait, the costs continue to escalate. So hopefully that'll support mitigating that. But absolutely can't wait to hear back from the developers, but also our community about this new way forward. But I think importantly too, it really is the decision and at the discretion of council where feasible. And I think that's a critical element to it. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further speakers for or against? Doesn't appear to be. Just to finish up on the item, just to Mr. Willis's point, there is a significant impost and financial impost on us at the moment and on other councils across Australia to provide the necessary water and sewer infrastructure, which appears to be the biggest capital cost for development at the moment of housing corridors and commercial corridors. I've had the privilege of being on a call with Joe Murdoch today, the CEO at North East Water, and he's double our requirement in terms of the cost, and we're talking billions of dollars. And the challenge for us as a community and as a city that is growing exponentially in the top 10 in the state is to meet the demands of the developers. And at a recent forum in Wodonga, it was raised that councils have a tendency to be a bit slow, but the reality is a few of the developers also acknowledge the level of expectation and what the growth looks like and how that can outstrip supply. But this particular report and this particular opportunity is innovative and certainly does provide us with the flexibility as a council to consider it and strategically consider it, because yes, it's out of sync, but it's also in session because essentially we need to approve it and it needs to tick all the boxes. So there's really an opportunity here to open the gate, but there's also an opportunity to close it. But we need to understand the cost to us is enormous to put this stuff under the ground. It needs to meet our expectations, as I've had dealings with developers in recent years where they wanted to promise delivery of water and sewer, but they didn't want to upgrade the main to service other communities beyond their subdivision. So there's a lot of checks and balances. So congratulations to the staff for going down this path. And I think, again, we need to lead our way of innovation. I think Wodonga has the same challenges with North East Water and certainly providing that growth for the government of the day and certainly for our community. So thanks to the staff. Councillor King, did you wish to close debate?
No, happy to put the motion.
Happy to put it. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. CM 13.3, the draft property strategy, public exhibition submissions. Thank you. Councillor King.
I move that council endorse the draft Albury City property strategy as amended and attached to the report.
Thank you. I feel like I'm on one of those game show hosts. Like I'm waiting for someone to press
I
their
didn't want to
button.
leave you hanging there, Max, so I thought I'd jump in for you.
Councillor Callaghan.
Happy to second. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor King, do you wish to open debate on that item?
Look, happy to do that. This is in relation to our financial sustainability improvement plan, and in particular in relation to the prudent management and optimisation of property assets and also the commercial activation of council land. So that any income derived from the property can be used to, I guess, supplement and diversify the funding sources that we may need at any given time. So I think that's important. Also important to note that, yes, there are some amendments due to some feedback. So there are certainly 3 points that have been added to the draft. So thanking the community for that feedback and also reassuring them that council has no power to sell community land. That was a theme that was brought up in some of the feedback. So thank you.
Thank you. Question from Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor Mac, to the most relevant staff member. It was only last week that I met with a community group seeking to activate a space that is currently vacant. My question is, what is council doing to actively engage the community to access vacant or underutilised spaces in our asset portfolio to either activate the space or increase the revenue in a timely manner? Thank you.
Mr. Millett.
Thank you for the question through you, Mayor Mac. Look, I suppose even having this property strategy as part of that process and the promotion of that is at the heart of it is actually to maximise the benefit to our community through our public assets. We have expression of interest processes come up as these spaces become available, where we promote them and sort of go out to the public about how they can use the spaces and to maximise that benefit to the community. It's not just the financial benefit, it's also the broader community benefit. So we have to find that balance between that financial sustainability and also those less tangible benefits that we can get from these spaces.
Thank you, Matt. Follow up if I may.
Sure, you've got the mic.
Just a question in regards to that timeliness as well. Is there a period of time where we go, oh, it's been vacant for 2 or 3 months, we need to go out to EOI, or how are we navigating an asset not sitting there for a year, 6 months, underutilised?
Mr. Millett.
Yep. Thank you for the question, and through you, Mayor Mac. I suppose once again, this strategy is identifying that space where it's creating the strategic approach, it's creating the governance around making those decisions, and also the support for our staff to make those decisions in a timely manner. it'll be a case by case scenario. So there'll be some assets that we decide to sit for a little bit for other reasons. An example of that could be down at Turk's Head, where we've got some major construction works commencing just today. And so we made the strategic decision not to put that to the market so that any potential users of that space wouldn't be impacted by those works in the sort of the initial stages of trying to set up a business.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker 4, Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I want to thank the members of the community who provided feedback on this draft strategy and also thank the staff for responding to that feedback and amending the original draft strategy. In particular, I do want to acknowledge that my concern around the inconsistency between the acquisition and disposal items for consideration, particularly relating to environmental value of the land, was taken into account and amended. So thank you.
Thank you. Appears to be no further speakers for or against. Councillor King, did you wish to close debate?
No, thanks.
Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you. We're up to 13.4, Audit Risk and Improvement Committee Terms of Reference. Councillor Bukowski.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I move the recommendation that council endorse the draft ARIC terms of reference based on the Office of Local Government's Risk Management and Internal Audit Guidelines.
Thank you. Councillor King.
Happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski, did you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you.
Okay. Speaker 4, Councillor Callaghan.
Pardon me, sorry. No.
You're just checking your buzzer. Okay. Councillor King, did you wish to speak for?
Only to acknowledge that it is that these have been developed in accordance with the requirements of the OLG guidelines. So that is part of that good governance that we're required to put that before council.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski, do you wish to close?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. The 13.5 Audit Risk and Improvement Committee Internal Audit Charter. Thank you, councillors. Councillor King.
I move that council endorse the draft Albury City Internal Audit Charter based on the Office of Local Government's Risk Management and Internal Audit Guidelines.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski.
I do second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor King, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thanks. Again, it's a regulatory requirement, so I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. No further speakers for or against. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. 13.6 Audit Risk and Improvement Committee Annual Assessment. Thank you. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you. I'd like to move the recommendation that council endorse the draft Audit Risk and Improvement Committee Annual Assessment 2024 to 2025 based on the Office of Local Government's Risk Management and Internal Audit Guidelines. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski.
I do second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to speak to that at all?
No, thank you, Mayor Mac.
There'll be no questions for or speakers for or against. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. 13.7 Albury Awards. Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I move the recommendation that council maintain the current format in delivering the Albury Awards as a standalone event on the 25th of January at the Albury Entertainment Centre, followed by Australia Day festivities and a citizenship ceremony on the 26th of January at Norriel Park.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan.
Happy to second.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson, just have a question. Happy for me to take the question?
Yep.
Thank you. Councillor King. I've got two questions now. Councillor King.
My question relates to the budget of the event, noting that we are looking to claw back some of our expenditure. What opportunities are there to have that happy medium, to have an event that has been really well received and very inclusive, but also pulling back where we can? What opportunities exist for that as opposed to the amount that's been budgeted for as it exists?
Mr. Glass.
Thank you for the question, Councillor King, and through you, Mayor Mac. So you can see in the report it highlights that the current budget for the Albury Awards is $45,000. If we're looking to reduce that, some of the suggestions we would make would be reviewing the engagement of a professional MC, reviewing the need for some of the decorations, be it flowers, reviewing some of our marketing that we have associated with the awards, and reviewing catering options for the awards and the provision of alcohol, and reviewing videography as well, and just potentially having still photography rather than videography. And look, our estimates are that if we looked at those measures, the budget could reduce from 45,000 down to about 35,000 to hold the Albury Awards on a separate evening.
Thank you. Happy to offer my services as MC should you wish, councillors.
I was going to offer mine. That's fine. Question, Councillor Bukowski.
Thank you. Through you to the most relevant member of staff, very much along the same lines as Councillor King. So essentially, the idea of savings is that only if it was held at the awards were held in conjunction with the citizenship ceremony. So in terms of, so for example, like would there still be a savings if, and you've already answered it essentially, but if we were to hold like two separate events still rather than both in the morning?
Yes, so thank you, Councillor Bukowski, and through you, Mayor Mack. Yeah, so the report indicates that the total budget for having two separate events is $80,000, made up of $45,000 from the Albury Awards and $35,000 for our Australia Day activities. And the answer I just gave to Councillor King was if we kept it as separate, we potentially could reduce the $45,000 down to $35,000 for the Albury Awards on the night before. The report also suggests that if by combining the two activities into one, there would be the total budget saving opportunity would be in the order of 25 to 30,000. So rather than 80,000, it would be in the order of 55 to 50 to 55,000 if we combine the two.
All right, happy with that. Councillor Callaghan, question.
Just a clarifying question. So we've talked about if the days were separate as intended thus far in the calendar, that you've just mentioned a $10,000 savings there, and we've also applied for a $15,000 grant application. When are we likely to find out about that $15,000 additionally?
Mr. Glass.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Callaghan, and through you, Mayor Mack. I'm pleased to announce that we've been verbally advised that that we have been successful. The actual details, however, are still we're still awaiting the details. So we'd expect to find out in the next week or two.
Follow up here for me. Firstly, congratulations to the team who applied for the grant. So that's $25,000 within grant funding and additional savings. Last year, that was split over the 2 days. Is it possible for that to still go towards the awards ceremony, and how much is likely to potentially support that if it stayed on the eve before?
Mr. Glass.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Callaghan, and through you, Mayor Mack. As I said, I'd need to see the terms of the funding deed, but I understand that they will be from the Australia Day Council. They'll be associated with activities on Australia Day. And yeah, thank you.
Okay, so that is the ceremony on Australia Day only. Yep, thank you. Councillor Husband.
Sorry.
Follow up.
Yes, if I may, just to clarify what you said, last year we actually split the 15 over, no, that was different events on Australia Day. Or was it have to be spent on the 26th? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I've got a question. So if it was spent on Australia Day and the Indigenous component, would that work?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Mayor Mack. So you might recall last year with the $15,000, we spent $10,000 of that was allocated towards Australia Day activities at Noriel Park, and then $5,000 was allocated towards the screening, I should say, of a movie at the Albury.
Excellent. That's what I thought. Yep. Thank you. Councillor Hudson, do you wish to open debate? Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. I will. I firstly wanted to start by thanking our public forum speakers tonight. Richard and Isaac spoke incredibly eloquently and powerfully about their the meaning that the Albury Awards has had to them as recipients. And I think they've highlighted some really key things that we need to think about. Richard spoke about how some elements of our community feel invisible, and the need for the event to be as inclusive as possible. And Isaac reminded us that we really need to think, put ourselves in others' shoes when thinking about this, this event and the days around this event. So with that in mind, I obviously speak in favour of this recommendation. I want to thank the staff for quite a comprehensive sort of pros and cons analysis that they did as well. They highlighted a number of risks and benefits from both options, but fundamentally, I think it's pretty clear that the changed format is the right way to go. I think the changed format has more than proved its worth. When the events were held separately in 24 and 25, the attendance of them absolutely surged, and that reversed years of decline under the declining attendance under the combined format. We had just 350 people in 2023, and we had more than 5,000 across 2 events last year. Now, there was obviously a lot of public discourse around that, but ultimately, I think it's a pretty clear sign that despite the fact there was, we did consultation and then there was a pretty clear majority put forward in the survey, I think ultimately what matters, and what matters to me certainly is decision-making, is what people did. And that was they showed up to both events. And I think that's a clear view, a clear sign that the community really values the separation. More importantly than that, I think for me that holding the awards separately aligns with the really strong feedback that we've had from our local Indigenous community, who have told us that holding it on January 26th is not an inclusive or a comfortable day for them. And I think that this separate format has allowed for far greater participation, and it has made it genuinely reflective of our whole community. Again, things that Richard and Isaac spoke so powerfully about. And so while I absolutely recognise our current budget constraints, I really don't think this is an area where we do need to penny pinch. It's great to hear that there are opportunities for some cost savings. We obviously have significant internal talent as far as being able to provide an MC, and I think perhaps not catering alcohol at a minimum is a reasonable and a sensible thing to do as well. And I think we should acknowledge that just earlier we approved a tender for a contract which came in nearly $418,000 under budget. Now, if my maths is correct, that would pay for approximately 14 separate events based on the saving of 30,000 if they were to be combined. So, that's a really significant saving for our budget, 418,000. 30,000, I think in the context, rolling these awards back into the January 26th event, it would be very short-sighted. I feel. I think that it would it's a very small amount, but it would cost us a lot as far as the real improvements we've had in engagement, in social cohesion, in inclusion, and reconciliation that we've had from separating the 2 events. So I worry about the reputational damage that it would do, but more importantly, I worry about the damage that separating the 2 would do to the community. So with that in mind, I think celebrating community pride and achievement through our awards night is one of the best things that we do as a council, and I think we should keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. There appears to be no further speakers except for Councillor Bukowski speaking against. Thank you, Councillor Bukowski.
Thank you. So I will be supporting the budget saving option, obviously not up on the screen, and that is for the potential saving of up to $30,000 to incorporate the awards into the existing event rather than holding a separate day. This is, again, primarily due to our responsibility, I believe, particularly in light of our significant budget deficit, to be fiscally responsible with ratepayers' money, noting that in May of 2024, that 62% of people consulted didn't support separating the Albury Awards from Australia Day, and 72% of people supported activities at Noriel Park. I do, however, acknowledge the concerns raised by tonight's speakers and other community members and First Nations people about the awards being held on the 26th of January. So if this motion isn't successful, I foreshadow that I will move the second option. which is to hold both on the same day for budget savings. But also just noting that it would be equally as important that we remain sensitive to the cultural and historical significance of this day and ensure that if they are held on the same day, that the event is conducted in a really respectful, inclusive and thoughtful manner.
Thank you. Speaker 4, Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. I think I'll take a slightly different tack and not look at the political side of this, which seems to always come up when we're talking about Australia Day awards, and people love politicising it and driving a wedge into the community. What I would like to focus on is how good the last 2 awards nights have been. Both were on the eve of Australia Day, and the prestige for the awards, the pride that I saw with the individuals getting the awards. And there's not just one, you know, I remember going down to Noriel years ago and you get the Citizen of the Year, but you didn't hear about everyone else within our community and what they've been doing. And I think we're getting better and more nominations. It is a prestigious event. Family and friends come specifically to watch the awards. And I think throwing it all in together on Australia Day to get a lesser product is not very good spending for Albury City. And taking the politics right out of it, one product works really, really well, which is Australia Day, which is Citizenship Awards on the night before. And the other seemed to be very well received too, with citizenship and the Australia Day ceremonies at Noriel on that particular day. And people have it was in the report, but people have a limited attention span, and we won't be doing justice to our local heroes if we do it on Australia Day. So cost withstanding, I think it's very, very good use of our money for something that I think is a great advantage to this community. It's already been growing over the last 2 years, and I think it will continue to grow and thrive if we depoliticise the whole thing and just stick to what works and what works well. So I'm supporting this recommendation. It's worked well for the last 2 years, and I absolutely expect it will work well again this year.
Thank you, Councillor Baker. Speaker 4, no speakers against. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you. And thank you for your words, Stuart. And I wholeheartedly agree with you. Can often get politicised and become challenging. But I think, firstly, I'd like to recognise Richard and Isaac sincerely moving words tonight. You're an amazing young man, and to have the confidence to stand up and to speak your truth was really lovely to hear. And you certainly moved me. So thank you. Firstly, the duration of the events. When the events were separated, the attendance jumped. And although perhaps the surveys didn't capture that before it had happened, people certainly showed up in droves, in numbers, and that can't be ignored. When the events were separated, they did work in collaboration with one another. It was on the eve of the event, but what it really was, it was short, focused ceremonies that worked better than one long program. And the numbers certainly prove that. And if it's too long and too arduous in the heat, you will lose people. And that's what was happening. There was a decline over the years, and that's what led to the change in the format, about thinking how to do things differently that could really accommodate the community. So more people showed up and they stayed engaged with the 2 separate events. And I certainly got the opportunity to engage with the award winners post the event, whereas I felt down at Noriel Park, it was quite lost with all the people and I didn't quite know where everyone was. And I think those 2 separate events certainly allowed me to engage with the events more clearly, and I attended both as well. And secondly, if I may, It was a joint sentiment from our CEO and then Mayor Kylie King, and it respectfully reads, which I think aligns with Richard and Isaac's sentiments, that our city, these are beautiful words, and when I read them again and again, it really resonated with me, and I hope it resonates with you as well, Isaac. Our city is defined by the relationships formed in our community, and we can only thrive when all members in our community feel welcomed, acknowledged and supported. To truly reconcile as a city, we must address and reconcile the historical and current injustices. Our city's history with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people is complicated, but we can change this through positive and transformational action. We are proud leaders of our great city to take the next steps towards a stronger community through the RAP, acknowledging the past, but providing real and practical actions. And I wholeheartedly agree with these words. I think they're kind and I think they're inclusive, and it's the type of civic leader that I want to be. Thirdly, it's safer and more comfortable. Awards in a climate-controlled venue protects the elders, families and finalists from the January heat and the adverse weather risks, and a long outdoor ceremony. An alternative event keeps the awards special. A standalone night gives our local heroes proper recognition instead of feeling tacked on to a busy festival day. The Australia Days last year was a bustling event and it was heaving with people, but I think joining them back together really detracts from our local community heroes. And the fourth is, in my experience, I've had the opportunity to meet the winners and nominees, and it was something that we're all getting photos with you, and I was so proud to give an award, and I think the recipients from the final year before that too were also proud to hand that award on. It really felt like I think someone mentioned it before, like even maybe perhaps it was at dinner time too, it was a bit of a mini Logies moment, and you know, it was the razzle dazzle that our community members really deserve. So let's not dilute the importance of that event, is my observation. I think I'll just quickly sum up as well, but nationally, the Australian of the Year Awards are announced the eve of the ceremony. And if it's good enough for Australia, I think it's good enough for Albury. And I suppose in the words of Isaac, let's get this decision right and let's move forward in a positive space. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. There's no further speakers for or against. Speaker against, Councillor Lacken. Thank you.
Yes, I wish to speak against the motion we have on the board, and I would, however, support the alternative motion as the other option in our report. And I too would like to thank our presenters this evening, Mr. Hendry and Mr. Kunde. Thank you very much for your presentations and your insight into your experience as recipients for the Albury Awards. The Albury Awards are something that have happened over a number of years, a significant number of years now, and it's great to be a part of that whenever possible. And I too, like Councillor Callaghan, feel great pride when I am at each of those ceremonies, welcoming the new citizens on Australia Day and indeed the awardees. My reason for supporting the alternative option is because of a number of reasons, one of which is the cost. And so while we look at $80,000 and a cost saving of $25,000 to $30,000 as apparently not very much and penny pinching, relatively those figures are quite significant. When you look at $25,000 to $30,000 out of a total of $80,000, reducing $80,000 to $50,000 is a significant change. The fact that we have $15,000, which is yet to be confirmed as to how that needs to be spent. Historically, one would think that that must be spent on Australia Day for the Australia Day celebrations, ceremonies, then that's not an insignificant amount, but it doesn't take us anywhere near the total that will be required of $80,000 should we spend this over 2 days. And I acknowledge, as has been raised by other speakers tonight, that over the last couple of years, the last 2 years, as everyone cites, the attendance over both events has increased significantly. I agree with the figures. They absolutely have. But perhaps those increases have not just been because they've been over 2 days. Perhaps those increases have been because there's been an increased awareness of Australia Day and people wanting to celebrate, to participate in Australia Day and the award ceremony. The fact that they were over 2 different days maybe isn't the main factor. So my suggestion is that we should save the money that we can and consider a year as a trial to go back to having both on the one day. Sorry, I'll just jump to something else. I think it's an opportunity, and another speaker this evening has raised a couple of times in asking questions earlier on and also speaking to the motion, that Australia Day and the ceremonies and the awards being on a separate day offers an opportunity for family and friends to be able to attend. Well, being on the same day still offers family and friends the opportunity to attend either the awards component, the Australia Day citizenship component, or indeed both components on the same day. I also believe that there would be an opportunity, and I don't see why there wouldn't, for each nominee to be introduced, not simply the recipient, but for each nominee to have a brief introduction during a ceremony for the Albury Awards that could be still held on Australia Day. So for many reasons, I believe we should recombine the days or the events onto the one day, make that saving and utilise the opportunity to see whether or not it's about Australia Day and celebrating Australia Day and everything good about being a citizen of Albury, part of our community with the awards ceremonies as well. Thank you very much. I cannot support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Gladkin. Speaker 4, Councillor King.
Thank you. It's been great to listen to debate, and I certainly agree with Councillor Baker's observations. I think if we can't put on a special occasion event for our volunteer community, we know volunteering is dropping off. It's a real pressure for a lot of people, and I think it is one way to really, yes, there's cost, but there's also the value in recognising these volunteers, and I think Mr. Hendry's quote about Mark Twain was probably on the money, really. So, and also noting that there has been savings tonight, as Councillor Hudson has referred in another matter, of course. But I would hope that if we're successful in moving this motion, that our events team feels empowered to make some cost adjustments, because I feel if the flowers are lacking, if the marketing isn't as up to what it has been in past years, if we don't have the professional MCs that did a fabulous job, I must admit, over the past few years, I don't think that will detract from the event. And perhaps there are some community sponsors or businesses that may want to help us, zhuzh it up in a way, or potentially reduce some prices of their services for photography or videography, perhaps. I'm not sure, but I'm sure those opportunities could be explored. For this current financial circumstance that we find ourselves in, it would be a shame to lose it in perpetuity because of the current situation we are in now, but certainly acknowledge that, we are all, and Councillor Bukowski's right, trying to claw back where we can. So I certainly recognise that. I'm just concerned that this isn't the spot and the event to do it on, because I think in 2 years it's really captured quite the wow factor for our community, and it's just been a wonderful way to say thank you to those dwindling volunteers that do so much in our community. We really need to elevate them and lift them up where we can.
Thank you, Councillor King. No further speakers for or against I can see on my board here. Just to wind it up in terms of this particular motion, Yeah, look, I'm at a little bit crossroads on this one because I think there are two parts to it, and I agree with the speakers. This is not about politicising this particular issue, and never has been. We've been through a very difficult 12 months, and we're making some decisions through our accelerated service review as we speak about our fiscal position, and every little bit helps. And if we're a family and we have a need, we spend on the need. I see this as a want. The need is to save money. The want is to have this event. That's where I'm probably divided, because I think, again, having seen the event and having been at both ends of this particular discussion, been at Noriel Park and conducted all the events simultaneously, yep, I actually enjoyed it and thought it was well conducted, to the point of one of the speakers about the environment and the weather and all other such things. It can be quite challenging, but you won't find a better location for this event than Noriel Park as versus the Performing Arts Centre. However, on the flip side, I was at the Performing Arts Centre last year and was a recipient of a lot of congratulations from the people who attended, and certainly it was warmly received. And having been there the first time, to the speaker's point, speaking for, I saw the reasons why you would conduct this event if you had the money to spend on it. Now, I don't know comparing capital budgets to operational funds is accurate, given that the capital money goes on different things and this is an operational event. But having said that, I just think that from this point forward, we need to be demonstrating fiscal management. And we had this debate in the chamber a couple of weeks ago about the hospital advocacy, and I see a greater priority to spend money for a hospital than showing fiscal responsibility in this instance. Now, I'm not suggesting we should continue in this vein. I'm suggesting we should have a comma on this particular matter. This is not about combining the two events and having my say and having my way, as I advocated during the lead up to the council elections. This is about actually being fiscally responsible. And I know there are staff in this organisation that would ask us in the chamber to demonstrate the same leadership and fiscal responsibility that they expect. And this is about doing that. And certainly, as I say, I'm not opposed to having both. But right now, I think the timing is that we should fiscally be responsible and not hold to events, and save the money that we can to continue that line, which is we are fiscally responsible. We're doing what we need to do to support our community as best we can. Okay, thank you. Councillor Hudson, do you wish to close debate?
Thank you, Matt. Just briefly, it's obviously been a relatively long debate, and I thank everybody for their contributions. I do want to thank Councillor Baker for reminding us about just how wonderful the events have been the last 2 years and the quality of them, and the fact that the separate events does give us more time and more space to acknowledge everyone, all the nominees, not just the award recipients themselves. Thank you to Councillor Callaghan for the beautiful words from our Reconciliation Action Plan. And I think Councillor King has made some really great suggestions regarding further ways we can reduce costs. And I agree with her sentiments. The staff should feel empowered to look at that. Absolutely. Again, as Richard said in his speech, this is really about value, not cost for me, I think. And I think having the two separate events on separate days and spending that extra money does represent good value. So I commend this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. Happy to put the motion. Those for the motion? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those against the motion? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a tied motion. So, as is the responsibility of the chair to provide a casting vote, but as I've just previously illuminated to, my reasons for not supporting this particular motion are quite clear, that it's a fiscal issue for me, and certainly it's not a political issue. It's about demonstrating leadership from our group, and certainly demonstrating that we mean business when it comes to managing our budget. So I'll be voting against the motion. Councillor Bukowski, you foreshadow the motion. Motion's lost.
Yeah. Okay. I move that council conduct a combined program on 26 January at Noriel Park with the morning session incorporating both the citizenship ceremony and Albury Award recognition, followed by an afternoon of community festivities.
Thank you, Councillor Clayton. Councillor Clayton? You happy to second, I take it. Councillor Bukowski, did you wish to speak to that at all?
No, I think previous debate has probably surmised my
Thank
position on
you.
that. Thank you.
Question from Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. Through you to the most appropriate member of staff, will there be an alternate function as happened last year with a screening or something for those people who do not want to partake in the Noriel Park combined Australia Day festivities and ceremonies?
Mr. Glass?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Baker, and through you, Mayor Mack. That is our intention at this stage.
Follow up?
Yeah, follow up. Have you got any idea what it might look like?
Mr. Glass?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Baker, and through you, Mayor Mack, would be looking to do something similar to last year, a cultural activity of some description at a separate location.
Yep, still got
Follow-up
Mike.
question. Last year, it was noticeable to me and others that there was not very much publicity around the screening of EMU at the Performing Arts Centre. Will there be adequate publicity, if you like, to the wider Albury community?
Mr. Glass?
Thank you for the question. Through you, Mayor Mack. Yeah, I acknowledge the point well made, Councillor Baker, that we were a little bit late with the promotion of the activity last year. We'd be looking to do that a lot more in advance this year.
Comfortable? Yep.
Yeah, no, sorry, I was trying to turn it off.
Yeah, okay. Councillor Callaghan, question?
Thank you. It's a follow-up in regards to what Councillor Baker has just mentioned about the cultural activation. My understanding too, it was about cultural activation, but also education and awareness. And if possible, and I'm not part of the steering committee or people, staff, but it ran at a time which was conflicting with the ceremony and services down at Noriel Park. If we could also promote an event that is happening in the afternoon or after the fact down at Noriel Park for people to attend after one finishes, so people can participate in all events if they wish, or one or none, whatever it might be. But yeah, it just gives that opportunity for the whole of community to be participating. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. Any further discussion, councillors? Councillor Bukowski, did you wish to close debate?
No.
Happy to put the motion. Those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those against? 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're back to the casting vote. And just to clarify, and I had a sense of a whisper from Councillor Callaghan before that the casting vote in this context, I know previously I was given a point of order by Councillor Cameron, which states the casting vote does not have to follow the staff's recommendation. I took advice from the Local Government New South Wales legal people, and I've also checked that advice against my Googling, and it would appear that the purpose of the casting vote is to break the tie in either the positive or the negative. So I'm happy to vote on this occasion for the amendment as put by Councillor Bukowski. Thank you, councillors. The motion is carried. Officers' reports for noting, CM 14.1 investment balances to September 2025. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Callaghan.
I'd like to move the recommendation that council receive and note the investment balances report for the month of September 2025.
Thank you. Councillor Bullivant.
Happy to second that, Mayor Mack.
Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to speak to that at all?
No, thank you.
There appears to be no speakers for or against. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. We have delegates' reports for noting. 15.1 Murray-Darling Association Conference, 1st to the 2nd of October 2025. Councillor Bukowski.
Thank you. I move the recommendation that council receives and notes the delegates' report on the Murray-Darling Association Conference held on the 1st and 2nd of October 2025.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor King.
Yeah, happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski, do you wish to speak to your report?
Just briefly, obviously very appreciative that council ensured that I was able to attend the Murray-Darling Association Conference, noting that I am the chair of Region 1 and therefore sit on their board as a member. I think primarily it's just the recognition that water is not only an environmental resource, but it's also a critical political and service delivery issue for our community. The discussions at the conference reinforce that secure, transparent and well-managed water systems do underpin everything from household supply to agriculture to economic growth and to future planning in our cities. And as pressure increases on our allocation and compliance, it is essential that as a council, we remain actively engaged in the basin plan and advocacy to ensure and to protect our long-term water security and community resilience. Thank you.
Any questions or discussion, councillors? Just one question, Councillor Bukowski, in relation to the basin plan review, was there much emphasis during the conference based on the outcomes and concerns or feedback?
I think, well, I mean, there was a lot of discussion around it, but I don't know whether concerns were that they were considered, but whether they were considered might be another question entirely. So
A level of cynicism.
possibly.
Okay, thank you. Okay, happy to put that report. All those in favour of the motion, thank you. Anyone against? The motion is carried. CM 15.2 Australia Local Government Women's Association New South Wales Conference, 5th to 6th of September 2025. Councillor Bukowski.
Thank you. I move the recommendation that council receives and notes the delegates' report on the Australian Local Government Women's Association New South Wales Conference held on the 5th and 6th of September 2025.
Thank you. Councillor King.
Happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski, do you wish to speak to your report?
Just briefly again, thanking council for the opportunity to go to Griffith for this conference. Again, there was a lot of discussions around water policy, but there were discussions around housing affordability and governance culture, which intersects with regional sustainability. So again, there was a focus on the Murray-Darling Basin and the plan and the amendments in terms of water recovery measures, because they do directly impact on agriculture and urban planning and economic resilience. There's also a session on the importance of addressing housing supply constraints through flexible planning settings and infrastructure contributions that support growth without overburdening communities. And finally, there was a session on councillor wellbeing, which I thought was particularly relevant, noting the new psychosocial health and safety legislation that's coming in, which really focused on ethical leadership, resilience and safe working environments to ensure that as councillors, we can effectively serve our community in a psychologically safe way. So thank you.
Thank you. There appears to be no further question or debate. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? A question from Councillor Glacken. Sorry, I'll recommit the motion. Wish to ask a question, Councillor Glacken.
Thank you. It is a relevant question. Through you to the author of the report, with reference to the housing supply, affordability and inclusion, did the New South Wales government say anything about assisting regional councils? I understand, you know, they think we could be helpful with the planning mechanisms, etc., so that it's not too expensive to create affordable housing. But what's the New South Wales government saying they're going to help us with?
Councillor Bukowski.
Again, I wouldn't like to use the word cynicism. I do note that the Minister for Housing in New South Wales was only online for a very minimal amount of time. However, there were some very robust discussions around sort of modular houses and things like that. So sort of more delving into that level of affordability. So.
Councillor Glacken, did you want to follow up?
That's fine. I understand the concerns with the actual potential commitment from the New South Wales government to assist regional councils. It's probably not there. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, I'll recommit the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Urgent business councils. Does anyone have any? Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I just wanted to take a moment to congratulate Council staff member Meredith Wallace from the Cultural Activation team. Meredith reached an incredible milestone over the weekend by volunteering for the 100th time at the Albury Park Run. And so I think Meredith has made a really valuable contribution to the community's health and connection by doing so. But I also think this is a really great reminder that of the many ways that our council staff contribute to the community outside of their paid roles, whether it's volunteering or coaching, sport, or supporting community groups. The generosity and commitment of the council staff helps make Albury the strong and connected city that it is. So congratulations to Meredith, and thank you to all of our staff who contribute to the community.
Thanks, Councillor Hudson. Just one from me. We've got no others. Just in the point of the housing that was raised, the housing supply, it was raised with the Premier when he was here a couple of weeks ago that councils are struggling to provide the infrastructure and the necessary planning and other requirements for an explosion of housing growth, and we've already got it here, and we're actually exceeding that. It was also raised with him that the government should be contributing to that particular issue financially in terms of infrastructure under the ground and above the ground, roads and etc. And it was also raised with him about the opportunity to consider the federal money that they received as being partitioned and a component of that money being contributory to those assets and the requirement of those assets. So he took it on board, but at the end of the day, regional cities, New South Wales and regional capitals Australia have made the same approaches to their respective housing ministers and planners. So we'll see and watch this space, but if they want to see the nation grow, they need to invest in their local councils. The second part is today I had the privilege of meeting with Lauren Jackson, Marie and Gary at the new Lauren Jackson venue, which is looking fantastic, to discuss her commitment in terms of her memorabilia and other items that she has through her storied career. And she was very excited to see the stadium and was really blown away by the development and was very supportive and complimentary of the staff and the work that's been done there, and is really excited to see what happens when it's finished, and certainly wants to see her memorabilia enshrined in that particular venue, which is fantastic, because she made the comment today, and it's not indifferent to Richard's comment, that I was concerned about the uniqueness of that memorabilia because it is quite from a storied career and it's a one-off. But she said, look, better than it stayed home in a box. I've lived it and breathed it. I'd love to see the young people in our communities and communities beyond to also enjoy it and see what can happen from a very small start. So just to pass that on to the council, she's very thankful for what the council have done for her and her family, and certainly it is the full stop on a wonderful career. So just to pass that on to the staff and certainly the councillor groups that have supported that project from day one. So thank you. No confidential items, and the meeting is closed at 7:33. Thank you, councillors, and we've got a workshop, or no? Yeah, CEO's workshop in the Robert Brown room.